His campaign actually said, and I quote, "If we keep talking about the economy, we're going to lose." That's what he said, Wade. Well, Senator McCain may be worried about losing an election, but I'm worried about you losing your jobs. I'm worried about you losing your homes. I'm worried about you losing your life savings. You can't afford 4 more years of the failed economic theories that say we should give more and more to millionaires and billionaires and hope that prosperity trickles down on everybody else. We've seen where that's led us, and we are not going back. It is time to turn the page. Now, over the course of this campaign, I've laid out a set of policies that will grow our middle class, strengthen our economy in the long term. I'll reform our tax code so that 95% of workers and their families get a tax cut. I'll eliminate income taxes for seniors making under $50,000 a year. We'll make the tax code fair. I'll bring down the costs of health care for families and businesses by investing in preventive care and new technology and giving every American the chance to get the same kind of health insurance that members of Congress give themselves. We'll ensure every child can compete in the global economy by recruiting an army of new teachers and making college affordable for anyone who wants to go and is willing to put some time into community service. And we'll take a page from Toledo that's become a leader in solar panel technology. We are going to create 5 million new high-wage jobs by investing in the renewable sources of energy that will eliminate the oil we currently import from the Middle East in 10 years. We'll create another 2 million jobs by rebuilding our crumbling roads and schools and bridges, our infrastructure. And if people ask you, how are we going to pay for that? You just tell them, if we can afford to spend $10 billion a month rebuilding Iraq, we can spend some time rebuilding Ohio. But that's the long-term strategy for growth. Right now, we face an immediate economic emergency, and that requires urgent action. We can't wait to help workers and families and communities who are struggling right now, who don't know if their job or their retirement will be there tomorrow, who don't know if next week's paycheck will cover this month's bills. Some of you know I went canvassing just yesterday. And it was wonderful meeting folks and talking to them, but on this single block there were already 2 or 3 foreclosed homes. And that depresses property values for everybody, which means potentially it's going to put more burdens on city services to keep up, or you might end up seeing major layoffs. So we've got to act now. We need to pass an economic rescue plan for the middle class, and we need to do it not 5 years from now, not next year. We need to do it right now. So today I'm proposing a number of steps that we should take immediately to stabilize our financial system, provide relief to families and communities, and help struggling homeowners. It's a plan that begins with one word that's on everybody's mind, and it's easy to spell. J-O-B-S. Jobs. We've got to work on jobs. We've already lost 750,000 jobs this year. Some experts say that unemployment may rise to 8% by the end of next year. We can't wait until then to start creating new jobs. And that's why I'm proposing to give our businesses a new American job tax credit. Instead of giving tax credits and tax breaks to companies that ship jobs overseas, what we're going to do is say to American companies, for each new employee you hire in the United States over the next 2 years, you are going to get a tax break. That makes sense. Now, to fuel the real engine of job creation in this country, I've also proposed eliminating all capital gains taxes on investments in small businesses and startup companies. They're the ones that create 80% of the new businesses. And I've proposed an additional tax incentive through next year to encourage new small business investment. It is time to protect the jobs we have and to create the jobs of tomorrow by unlocking the drive and the ingenuity and innovation of the American people. And we should fast-track the loan guarantees that we've already passed for our auto industry and provide more as needed so that they can build the energy-efficient cars, not in Japan, not in South Korea, but right here in the United States of America. We'll also save 1 million jobs by creating a jobs and growth fund that can provide money to state and local communities so that they can move forward with projects to rebuild and repair our infrastructure. A lot of these projects and these jobs are at risk right now because of budget shortfalls. But this fund will make sure they continue. So that's point number one. Let's create some jobs right now and put people back to work. Number two, the second part of my rescue plan is to provide some immediate relief to families who are watching their paychecks shrink and their jobs and life savings disappear. I've already proposed a middle-class tax cut for 95% of workers and their families. But today I'm calling on Congress to pass a plan so that the IRS will mail out the first round of those tax cuts as soon as possible. We should get you a rebate in your pockets to deal with heating your homes this winter, making sure that you can afford the new coat for your child, or maybe even a new computer to help them at school. And we should also extend and expand unemployment benefits to those Americans who've lost their jobs and are having a tough time out there finding new ones in this weak economy. And while we're at it, we should stop making people who are getting unemployment insurance pay taxes on those benefits, because that will give them a little bit of extra relief. At a time when the ups and downs of the stock market have rarely been so unpredictable and dramatic, we also need to give families and retirees more flexibility and security when it comes to their retirement savings. I want to give credit where credit is due. I welcome Senator McCain's proposal to waive the rules that currently force our seniors to withdraw from their 401ks even when the market is bad. I think that's a good idea, but I think we need to do even more. Since so many Americans will be struggling to pay the bills over the next year, I propose that we allow every family to withdraw up to 15% from their IRA or 401k, up to a maximum of $10,000 without fine or penalty through 2009, just to help tide folks over. This will help families get through the tough times, get through this crisis without being forced to make painful choices like selling their homes or not sending their children to college. Third part of my rescue plan is to provide relief for homeowners who are watching their home values decline while their property taxes go up. You know, earlier this year, I pushed for legislation that would help homeowners stay in their homes by working to modify their mortgages. When Secretary Paulson proposed his original financial rescue plan, it included nothing for homeowners. At a time when Senator McCain was silent on the issue, I insisted that it include protections for homeowners. So now the Treasury has to use the authority it's already been granted and move aggressively to help people avoid foreclosure and stay in their homes. We don't need a new law, and we certainly don't need a new $300 billion giveaway to banks like Senator McCain has proposed. We just need to act quickly and decisively get people in line to start modifying those mortgages. I've already proposed a mortgage tax credit for struggling homeowners worth 10% of the interest you pay on your mortgage, and we should move quickly to pass it. And we should change the unfair bankruptcy laws that allow judges to write down your mortgage if you own 6 or 7 homes, but not if you only have 1. That makes no sense. And for all those cities and small towns that are facing a choice between cutting services like health care and education or raising property taxes, we'll provide the funding to prevent those tax hikes from happening. We cannot allow homeowners and small towns to suffer because of the mess made by Wall Street and by Washington. And for those Americans in danger of losing their homes, today I'm also proposing a 3-month moratorium on foreclosures. If you're a bank or a lender that is getting money from the rescue plan that passed Congress, and your customers are making a good faith effort to make their mortgage payments and renegotiate their mortgage, you will not be able to foreclose on their home for 3 months. We need to give people the breathing room to get back on their feet. Finally, this crisis has taught us that we can't have a sound economy with a dysfunctional financial system. You know, we passed a financial rescue plan that has the promise to help stabilize the financial system, but only if we act quickly and effectively and aggressively. The Treasury Department has to move faster with their plan to put more money into struggling banks so they have enough to lend. And they should do it in a way that protects taxpayers instead of enriching CEOs. Now, there was a report yesterday that some financial institutions participating in this rescue plan are still trying to avoid restraints on CEO pay. Just like those AIG folks who got help from the federal government and then go on a $400,000 junket. That's not just wrong, it's an outrage to every American whose tax dollars have been put at risk. And it won't happen when I'm President of the United States of America. No major investor would ever make an investment if they didn't think the corporation was being prudent and responsible. We shouldn't expect taxpayers to think any differently. And we should also be prepared to extend broader guarantees if it becomes necessary to stabilize our financial system. And I believe that the Treasury should not limit itself to purchasing mortgage-backed securities. It should help unfreeze markets for individual mortgages, for student loans, for car loans, and for credit card loans. Now, I think we need to do even more to make loans available to 2 very important areas of our economy: small businesses and communities. Now, this past Friday, I proposed a small business rescue plan that would create an emergency lending fund to lend money directly to small businesses that need cash for their payroll or to buy inventory. It's what we did after 9/11, and it allowed us to get low-cost loans out to tens of thousands of small businesses. And we also need to make it easier for private lenders to make small business loans by expanding the Small Business Administration's loan guarantee program. By temporarily eliminating fees for borrowers and lenders, we can unlock the credit that small firms need to pay their workers and keep their doors open. Now, today I'm also proposing that we maintain the ability of states and local communities that are struggling to maintain basic services without raising taxes to continue to get the credit they need. Congress should pass this emergency rescue plan, the rescue plan for Main Street, as soon as possible. If Washington can move quickly to pass a rescue plan for our financial system, there's no reason we can't move just as quickly to pass a rescue plan for our middle class that will create jobs and provide relief and help homeowners. And if Congress does not act in the coming months, it'll be one of the first things I do as President of the United States of America. We can't wait any longer. We can't wait to start creating new jobs. We can't wait to help struggling communities and homeowners. We can't wait to provide real and immediate relief to families who are worried not only about paying this month's bills, but their entire life savings. And this plan will help ease those anxieties. And along with the other economic policies I proposed, it will begin to create new jobs, grow family incomes, and put us back on the path to prosperity. Now, Toledo, I won't pretend this will be easy. George Bush has dug a deep hole for us. It's going to take a while for us to dig our way out. We're going to have to set priorities as never before, and we're going to have to stick to those priorities. That means pursuing investments in areas such as energy and education and healthcare that bear directly on our economic future, but we're going to have to defer on some other things we can afford to do without. It means going through the federal budget, line by line, ending programs that we don't need, and making the ones that we do work more efficiently and cost less. And Toledo, it also means promoting a new ethic of responsibility. You know, part of the reason this crisis occurred, if we're honest with ourselves, everyone was living beyond their means. From Wall Street to Washington to even some on Main Street. CEOs got greedy. Politicians spent money they didn't have. Lenders tricked people into buying homes they couldn't afford. And some folks knew they couldn't afford them, and they bought them anyway. We've lived through an era of easy money, in which we were allowed and even encouraged to spend without limits, to take out as many credit cards as possible, to take out the home equity loans, to borrow instead of save. Now, I know that in an age of declining wages and skyrocketing costs, for many folks this was not a choice but a necessity, just to keep up. I understand that. People have been forced to turn to credit cards and home equity loans to keep up, just like our government has borrowed from China and other creditors to help pay its bills. But we now know how dangerous that can be. Once we get past the present emergency, which requires immediate new investments, and we can't put those off, we have to break that cycle of debt. Our long-term future requires that we do what previous generations did, that we do what's necessary to scale down our deficits and grow our wages and encourage personal savings again, to live within our means. It's a serious challenge, but we can do it if we act now and if we act as one nation. You know, we can bring a new era of responsibility and accountability to Wall Street and to Washington. We can put in place common sense regulations to prevent a crisis like this from ever happening again. We can make investments in the technology and innovation that will restore prosperity and lead to new jobs and a new economy for the 21st century. We can restore a sense of fairness and balance that will give every American a fair shot at their American dream. And above all, we can restore confidence. Confidence in America, confidence in our economy, confidence in ourselves. You know, this country and the dream it represents are being tested in a way that we haven't seen in nearly a century. And future generations will judge ours by how we respond to this test. Will they say this was a time when America lost its way, when it lost its purpose, when we lost our nerve, when we allowed our own petty differences and our broken politics to plunge this country into a dark and painful recession? Or will they say this was another one of those moments when America overcame, when we battled back from adversity by recognizing that common stake we have in each other's success? Toledo, I think this is one of those moments. I realize you're cynical and fed up with politics. I understand you're disappointed and even angry with your leaders. You have every right to be. But despite all of this, I ask of you what's been asked of Americans in times of trial and turmoil throughout our history. I ask you to believe. Believe in yourselves. Believe in each other. Believe in the future we can build together. Because I believe together we cannot fail. Not now. Not when we have a crisis to solve and an economy to save. Not when there's so many Americans without jobs and without homes. Not when there are families who can't afford to see a doctor or send their child to college or pay their bills at the end of the month. Not when there's a generation that's counting on us to give them the same opportunities, the same chances that we had for ourselves. We can do this because we've done it before. You know, everybody here in this audience has a story. And if you go back in your family's history, you'll find that somebody somewhere has a parent who said, you know, maybe I can't go to college, but I'm going to work hard to make sure my child can go to college. Everybody here has got a story of a grandparent who said, maybe I've got to work in a dirty, tough job, but maybe my grandchild, he'll be able to afford to buy his own business. Everybody here has got somebody, maybe a great-great-great-grandparent, who said, you know, I live in a country where there's no freedom and there's no opportunity, but there's this nation across the water there called America, and if we travel to that country and we work hard, there's nothing we can't achieve. You know, some of you, maybe you've got a story in your past of a grandparent who said, I'll never run for office, but maybe my child can be a congresswoman. Maybe my child can be a mayor. Maybe, just maybe, my child can run for the presidency of the United States of America. That's the American dream. That's what this election's about. And if you'll work with me and organize with me, if you go out today and vote for me, I promise you, Ohio, we will not just win Ohio, we will win this general election, and you and I together, we're going to change the country and change the world. Thank you, everybody. God bless you.
Barack Obama in Toledo, Ohio.